You are listening to a Core Confidence Life production. www.coreconfidencelife.com.
Are you a blogger or an author who wants to improve your writing skills? Do you want to read faster with better comprehension? Maybe you want to develop a stronger memory. Well, remember this website, berglearning.com. Howard Berg is recognized by the Guinness Book of World Records as being the fastest reader on the planet, and he wants to help you accelerate your skills as well. You could even get this course for your kids to help them fly past the rest of the class. berglearning.com. Use coupon code CORECONFIDENCE10 to get 10% off. If you want to score core self-confidence while learning new tricks and improving your prospects in the job market, berglearning.com is for you. BERG learning.com. Coupon code CORECONFIDENCE10. All right, has anyone ever heard of a kissing coach? Tell me, have you ever heard of a kissing coach? Well, I haven't before this program. How did I learn to kiss? I just kind of fumbled around. How did anyone learn to kiss? They didn't have kissing coaches back when I was a child. But anyway, you are listening to the Core Confidence Life. And on today's program, we have a writer coming on the program with a book that will help you save money so you don't have to kiss your moolah goodbye just because you want to live nice. So we're going to talk about ways to save money when you don't have a lot of money. So we got that coming up on the program. And yeah, this person is also a kissing coach. Oh, never, ever introduce your podcast episode twice. I don't know why I have the urge to do that sometimes. You know, you hear me yap when the music is playing, and then the music fades out, and I'm tempted to restate what you're listening to, even though you just heard it twice. So that's tip number one. So for all of you who are aspiring podcasters, not only should you contact the Core Confidence Life so we can help set up and run your podcast editing and so forth, but take this tip. Never introduce your podcast twice in the same episode like that, like I'm sometimes tempted to do. Well, who has podcasts? If you have a podcast, you might very well be an entrepreneur, such as myself. If you are an entrepreneur, you know that money is not always available. You have good months and you got bad months. But you still have to live, right? You still want to eat. You still want to buy clothes, unless you want to go out naked. You still want to take your lover's interest out on a nice date. You know? So how do you do these things when the money is kind of short? Well, today's guest is going to tell us how to do that. She is a writer, okay? And yes, she is a kissing coach, which we talk about a little bit near the end of the interview. But she is a writer, and her book is going to tell you how to find the best deals you possibly can find to do everything you could imagine. So if you want to go on a nice date, this book will tell you how to do that for little to no money. If you want to find clothes, shop, she will tell you how to do that for a little bit of money. If you even have to go to the doctor, depending on what you're going for, she can tell you how to get some of your healthcare needs taken care of for less money. This book, written by Marilyn Anderson, will tell you how to live like you had a million, trillion bucks. How you doing, Marilyn? What's going on?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Dennis?
I'm doing wonderful. All right. So we're here talking about your book, but kind of give us an idea on who you are. Who are you? What are you doing with your life right now?
Well, I'll tell you, my book is called How to Live Like a Millionaire When You're a Million Short. And people always ask me how I came to write it. And I'm a writer. I've written for television and for film. I've written books. I've written plays. But in fact, your listeners may want to know I've written for Murphy Brown. I've written for Fame. And I wrote for a show with Carol Burnett, Jeremy Piven, and Richard Kind, which was called Carol and Company. I've also written and produced a family feature called How to Beat a Bully, which is on iTunes and Amazon. And so I've been writing quite a while, but I actually have a couple of degrees in biology and physiology. But when I left school and started working as a scientist, I said, I don't want to do this. I want to be a star. So I quit my job, sold my car, sold my furniture, sold my boyfriend, didn't get much for him, and moved to New York to become a star. And I got into a Broadway show a week after I got there, and I sang and I danced and I acted, and the show closed, not because I wasn't wonderful. But after that, I ended up doing stand-up for a while. I used to go on back-to-back with another guy you might have heard of, Jerry Seinfeld. And so I did stand up, and then one day I said, I either have to take a vacation or get a job. Let's see, vacation or job. So of course I took a vacation and I came out to Los Angeles, and in Los Angeles I started writing. I did stand up for a while with Jerry Seinfeld, and then one day I said, well, I either have to take a vacation or get a job. Let's see, vacation or job. So I took a vacation and I came out to Los Angeles, and out here I started writing. And I've written for a lot of different shows. I've written for Murphy Brown and Fame. I wrote on a show with Carol Burnett, Jeremy Piven, and Richard Kind called Carol and Company. And I've written some movies. I have a movie I produced called How to Beat a Bully. And I have another movie that starts shooting at the end of this year. So I've also written plays and books, and that's sort of my background, is that I was a biologist, and then I left that to go into show business.
Oh, okay. Show business. All right. So you've done a lot of writing and directing and so forth. So when you came up with the idea of this book, How to Live Like a Millionaire with Being a Million Short, what made you come up with that?
Well, that's a great question. And part of the reason is, as a writer, sometimes you might make a chunk of money, but then you could go for weeks or months or even years without making a salary. And it's funny because I had a lot of friends who had steady jobs and steady paychecks, and they were never doing anything fun. They were always broke, and they said, well, I can't afford to do this, or I can't afford to do that. And me, I didn't have a job. I didn't have an income. But I was going to fancy restaurants. I was traveling. I was buying things. I was going to events. And everybody used to say to me, how does Marilyn live? In fact, the three questions of the universe were, what is the meaning of life? Is there a God? And how does Marilyn live? So I finally decided to give away all my secrets and write the book on all the things that I do that enable me to travel and shop and go to great places and buy great things, even though I might not be making a lot of money.
I think that's a good trick that we all need to educate ourselves on. And if you are broke, if you ain't got no moolah, but you want to live like a king, then I guess Marilyn can tell you how to do it. So tell us about this book, and what are some of the areas that you focus on in this book as far as living like $1 million?
Well, I separated into various categories. I have chapters on entertainment, on shopping, on travel, on home, and that kind of thing. And for instance, I'll give you a lot of guys, if they're out there in the dating world, I notice that people try to meet and they go on coffee dates. Now, I personally hate coffee dates. I think what could be less romantic than going into a Starbucks or a coffee shop where 90% of the people are on their laptops? I don't think that's a romantic way to meet somebody. But, you know, a lot of times guys will think, well, I don't want to spend a lot of money. I don't know this person, or I don't have a lot of money. You know, I'll spring for 2 lattes at $10. Well, the truth is, I say the same guy can take out a girl and have a fabulous evening with wine, appetizers, and cool people. And one example of how to do this is an art opening. You know, art openings are fabulous places to go where you don't have to pay anything. They'll give you free appetizers or wine, and you get to have something that you can talk about. You know, it's a cultural experience, and you get to people watch at the same time. So whether you're single or you're married or you're in a relationship, an art opening is a great way to spend a free evening and yet have a really good time. Another thing, well, you're in New York, and I'm a theater lover. I love to go to theater. And there's all kinds of totally inexpensive or sometimes free ways to go to theater. There's places, of course, like goldstar.com. And in New York, for Broadway shows, most of them these days have a lottery. Now, Broadway shows can cost anywhere from $100 to $200 a ticket. But a lot of the shows now have a lottery, and they're digital lotteries, most of them, where you might have to pay $25 for a ticket, and you get to sit in the first row. So instead of paying $100 or $200, you pay $25, or for 2 people, $50, and you get to see a Broadway show. And anytime these shows go on the road, like they go to other cities, there will also be lotteries. So lotteries is a great way to see classy theater, fabulous theater, whether it's musicals or Tony Award-winning plays, for very, very low prices. And you usually get really good seats. And in New York, there's all kinds of other places, too, that you can go. Of course, there's the tickets booth, but also if you go to playbill.com or theatermania.com, they give you codes to see shows for free. A lot of shows in different cities also have what they call a pay what you can night, where one night of the month or maybe one night of the week, a show that might normally cost $40 or $60 a ticket will have a pay what you can night, and you can pay $10 or $5 or sometimes even $1 to see a show. And that, of course, makes a great evening for a guy and a gal, be they a couple or a 1 or 2 times 8, whatever, to go and have a great evening for next to nothing.
Well, those are good ideas. And you can go to an art show and get drunk off of wine, right? You can go to an art show and get drunk. You can go to a Broadway show.
Well, I don't recommend getting drunk for anybody, but you can have. You can put a little buzz on, you know.
Well,
you can have a little buzz.
And when you get your wine, you have to bring your own cheese. All right, just kidding.
No, a lot of times they have cheese. And of course, if you want to go to dinner and you don't want to spend a lot of money, there's all kinds of ways now to do that inexpensively as well. Of course, there's restaurant.com, which is, they have vouchers in over every city practically in the country. And you get real discounts. You get a $25 voucher. Usually it's for $10, but I say wait until they have their sales, because you'll get emails where instead of a $25 certificate for $10, you'll only have to spend $3 or $2. And then you go and you get a $25 value. Then there's also Groupons and Living Social. And the other thing that I love to do is a lot of very fancy, expensive restaurants have happy hours where their menu is so much less money. For instance, even fancy places like Ruth Chris or Fleming Steakhouse, you know, a steak normally there would cost, you know, $39 to $50 something. But you go to their happy hours and they have appetizers for $8 or $9. Well, you still get the ambiance and the good food, but you don't have the hefty price tag.
Yeah, you're making me think of restaurants that I go to. One I haven't been to yet. One I'm thinking there's this place here in New York called Brother Jimmy's. It's actually on the East Coast. It's not just in New York. And their happy hours, you know, their drinks are like, you know, to $11, $12 if you want a nice margarita. But to get margarita on a happy hour, it's only like $3. So look out for those happy hours. Yeah.
Yeah, I love happy hours. I have to tell you, and I'm not a big drinker. I'll drink, but I'm definitely a foodie, and I love to find happy hours where they have, great food and appetizers at really good prices. So,
Yeah.
and it's a great time of night too, especially if you're meeting somebody new. Instead of going for coffee, go for happy hour. I think it's a much more romantic way to meet somebody.
Romantic. All right. All right. So yeah, so we've talked about the restaurants and the shows. What other sections and chapters are within those pages?
Aha. Well, this is men can tell their girlfriends or their wives, but also for the men, hair styling can be really expensive, and especially probably in New York, where they probably charge an arm and a leg to cut your hair. But I always go to be a hair model. And the good thing about being a hair model is you don't have to be gorgeous. You don't have to be thin. You don't have to be young. You just need one thing, hair.
No.
And even for men, a lot of these places will do your hair for free, or if you're getting color or something, you might have to pay a color charge. But if you go to salonapprentice.com and plug in where you're located, which is in New York, you'll find a lot of very upscale salons that will be looking for a hair model. And a lot of times it's men, so you can get your hair done for free. Also, if you go to Craigslist under the category beauty and punch in model, it'll pop up with a bunch of places where you can go and be a hair model. And then again, there's Groupon and Living Social as well. But I like being a hair model because a lot of times it's just free.
Yeah. Speaking about hair made me think of something else that happens. People normally get dressed. and in order to get dressed, people normally would go shopping for clothes. So is there a section in there for clothes and getting nice, good clothes for cheapo?
Yes, there is. And of course, again, for women, because even though men these days can be very fashionable and metrosexuals, especially, because they love to dress well. For women, I really recommend renttherunway.com or latote.com. But on Rent the Runway, you can actually get to wear like a $2,000 dress for maybe $50. And they also have what I love. Hey, guys, if you have a wife or a girlfriend or a daughter, the best gift you could give her is you can get a monthly subscription for Rent the Runway, and then they will send you clothes to wear, and you wear them and send them back, and it's like, I call it the Netflix of fashion. I don't know if they have that for men, but they do have it for women, and it's great. And I think what a great gift that would be for a gal.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Clothes. So, all right. So we got the clothes. We got the, so there's no discount spots for men in your book there to save us some money.
There are a lot of websites in there that are for men too. They don't jump to mind because, I'm not a man and haven't decided to do that yet.
You haven't decided to be a man yet. I wonder what goes into this decision.
Right, I haven't decided to go through that yet, but I list a lot of websites in the book and a lot of tips and tricks. And speaking of that, there's something I want everybody who's listening to this to go and do as soon as they stop listening. Because a lot of people have money that they do not know they have. A friend of mine, I will tell you, I told him to go to this site that I mentioned in the book, and he fought me all the way. And I said, you have money waiting for you. Although, of course, he was going to give me some after it. But he fought me. He ended up getting a check for $12,000 because I told him to do something. And this is, a lot of people have what is called unclaimed property. Now, people will say, oh, I don't have any property. I don't have any money that I don't know of. But a lot of times you don't know. So you should go to missingmoney.com, or you can go to a site, naupa.org, which is naupa.org. And a lot of times you will find money that you didn't even know you had, and it's just waiting for you. They have billions of dollars from people who have money sitting there from from the past that they don't remember or they don't know. And you can not only do this for yourself, but do it for your parents, for your grandparents. You know, some people have found like hundreds of thousands of dollars that they didn't know was there. So I did it the first time and I got about $400. The second time I did it, I looked and it said I had money. I was so excited. I got 22 cents.
You know, you reminded me of that. Like that actually happened to me. Someone put my name in one of those sites. I don't know if it was a site that you gave or another one. And it said that I had money. He sent it to me. I'm like, oh, I have money. It was $20.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, my friend got a check for $12,000 from the state of Texas. He had lived in Texas and he totally forgot that he had put some money, I guess, into some kind of an account, and it grew, and he literally got a check for $12,000. And he fought me every step of the way saying, oh, it's a scam, it's a scam. And when he got a letter from the state of Texas saying, we're sending you a check, he still didn't believe it. And then he got the check. So I totally recommend that. Absolutely.
I have to go on that site again now, on those sites again, because I mean that little $20, that was a couple of years ago. And I don't anticipate I have money laying around waiting for me, but I guess no one necessarily does.
We never do. And put in your father's name, put in your mother's name, put in your grandparents' names, because the likelihood is that they didn't know that they had money. And so if you can prove that you're their relative, if they're no longer with us, then you'll be able to collect that as well. So you never know.
Well, no, none of my parents are here, so you never know what might be hanging out in the ether.
Right, exactly. So now here's a way I literally saved myself $10,000 on dental work. I went to my dentist had been telling me I needed to go to a periodontist, which of course I put off as long as I could. And then when I went to the periodontist, he told me he wanted to do gum surgery, you know, and cut my gums. And it would probably cost $5,000 two different times. He was going to do the surgery and then he was going to take grafts from the top of my palate. Well, I came home and I said, number one, I don't want to spend $10,000. And number two, I don't want to have, you know, my gums cut. So then I looked at my book and I said, what would the author of this book do? And I went, aha, and I listened to my own advice. And I went online and I found an alternative to the gum surgery. And it was a procedure called LANAP. And now LANAP still costs $6,000. It's laser-assisted surgery. But what I did is I found out that a place near me, about 30 miles outside of Los Angeles, teaches LANAP to dentists and periodontists who have been in practice, but they come in from all over the world. And so they would do the procedure for me for free. And I took a girlfriend and she got it done for free too. And it was totally free, what normally would have cost me $10,000. There was no cutting of my gums. I got complete recovery, no pain, no surgery. And plus they gave me free dental cleanings for the next year. And because I listened to myself in this book, I saved $10,000.
These are good stories, man. And I can, you know, someone listening, like you said, your friend could say, well, all this stuff is a scam. But no, the unclaimed money part has happened to me. And this story with the dentist, that's great. I know they're always offering free services. You just have to know where to look.
Well, and you have to use your head and think about things before you do them. I have, at the end of the book, I have rules. You've heard of rules to live by. Well, I have rules to live like a millionaire by. And the first, you know, one of the rules is ask. You have to always ask. If you don't ask, you'll never know. And I say make an ask of yourself. And I have a funny story that that's a relationship story, but it's about an ask. I was going on a trip at the time to Puerto Rico. It was, you know, quite a few years ago. And when I got to the clerk at the airport, she said, "Where do you want to sit? Aisle or window?" I said, "Well, it doesn't matter." I said, just put me next to a good-looking guy. And she said, well, do you want to stand in the back there and let me know when you see somebody you like? And I said, nah. I said, why don't you just do it? I was embarrassed. So I get on the plane, and I'm sitting in the window seat, and all of a sudden this really good-looking guy comes down the aisle, and he puts his luggage up on top of the rack, and he sits next to me. And then he turns and he says, it's the weirdest thing. As soon as I came in and I said I wanted a window seat, the woman said, have I got a seat for you? So we ended up talking the whole time. And when we got to Puerto Rico, we went out and we spent the whole time there. And the bottom line is I asked for what I wanted. And that works also when you're shopping. Let's say, guys, you go into a store, and Nordstrom's, by the way, will always price match. A lot of stores price match. So don't just spend your money, ask. And in fact, a lot of places will say something's on sale, but it'll still be cheaper somewhere else. Staples is an example. When you buy your office supplies or when you buy your new computer or printer, don't just pay for it. Ask if they price match, and then they will find, or you can find, a cheaper place and they will match it. Not only that, but if I see something and it's too expensive, you see a suit and you love it and it's more than you want to pay, ask the salesperson, is this going to go on sale? When will it go on sale? And if you become friends with the salesperson, have them call you when it goes on sale. I once got a $1,000 cashmere jacket for $149 because I asked. I said, when is it going to go on sale? And they called me, and, so that's one of my rules, is ask. Another really important rule is remember the things that you want so that when the opportunity comes up, you can get it. Here's an example. I had a girlfriend who always went to Canyon Ranch Spa. I don't know whether you've heard of it, but it's a very expensive spa in Arizona. I think they have one in upstate New York too, but it's like $5,000 for 4 days. But she was very wealthy, and she used to go there like 4 times a year. And I always said to myself, if I ever get the opportunity, I want to go there, but it's more than I can spend. Well, a gal called me up one day, and she was running a bachelorette auction. And she said, do you want to be a bachelorette? And I said, oh, sure, I'm game. Well, it turns out each of the bachelors and bachelorettes had to arrange their own date. Well, one gal, got like dinner at a fancy restaurant, and one guy got like a rounds of golf and a picnic for 2 at a golf course. Well, it was for the American Lung Association. So I called up Canyon Ranch Spa, and I said, would you donate a trip for 2 to Canyon Ranch Spa? Well, guess what? They gave me two rooms at the Canyon Ranch Spa, plus I got airline tickets donated, plus I got a limo to the airport donated. So when I went on the auction block, it was for a date with me to go to Canyon Ranch Spa. So that was really fun. Plus, it's a lot of fun having a handsome stranger bid on you.
Well, I'm sure.
But I'm just saying, people remember the things that they want to do and take the opportunity when it arises. Don't be afraid. Be open to things. I think that's really important.
Definitely. And, I'm thinking about all this stuff. And so we've now shopped, we've eaten, we actually have clothes on now. And we've gotten our dental checkup. So what other areas of life how about just shopping in general? Not necessarily clothes or medicine, but just shopping. Ooh, that's a nice car. I want that car,
Well, shopping, of course, you can always comparative shop. And nowadays with the internet, it's so easy. If you see something you like, chances are you can find it cheaper on the internet. And the other chances, like I say, that people might price match, even with cars. If you go to one dealer, you tell them somebody else is going to give you a better deal, So there's so many opportunities. And in every chapter of How to Live Like a Millionaire When You're a Million Short, I give tons of, not only examples and stories, but I also give tons of websites where people can go to get all kinds of things at the best or better prices. So it does have a lot on shopping there.
Yeah.
And speaking of shopping, I want to mention one of my best travel tips for guys, because again, travel can be quite expensive, and there's a lot of websites and ways to travel cheaper. But I even tell people how to spend 6 nights at a 4-star resort in Spain for free.
For free.
For free.
Oh, right. That's a 4-letter word that people don't mind hearing.
Yeah. And the thing is, Dennis, you know, all of this is on the up and up. It's all win-win situations. None of it, you know, is a scam, or none of it is anything that embarrasses people. It's always things that both sides are winning, you know, and especially for guys, I think it's so important to, you know, be able to do wonderful things and to share wonderful things, both for yourself and if you want to take a friend, whether it be a friend or a lady friend, you know, and this is the way to do it. For instance, you know, if you're going to a show and you got the free tickets or something from one of the websites that I mentioned in the book, you take them to the show, and maybe they'll take you to dinner, or they'll make you a fabulous dinner at home. So it's a way to really give to people as well as giving to yourself. In fact, as far as the book goes, I always call it the gift that keeps on giving, because if you give this gift to somebody, they'll be able to save money and have the greatest time of their life, like every day of the year. So that's why I'm so proud of it. I have to say, you know, I've written a lot, like I said, for television and for film and for movies, but I'm super proud of this book because it really gives so much to other people, and that makes me feel good. Actually, I just won an award as the best book on saving money and living well of the year. So I'm really proud about that. And I was written up in Forbes and in USA Weekly. But when I have the most fun is actually when I do in-person events and I talk to people, or if they come up to me and tell me that they used some of my tips and that they had the best time. A woman told me that using my book, she went on this trip to Spain, to this resort, and she couldn't believe it. And she said, some of the people have been there 15 times, and she said it was the best vacation of her life. And she never would have known about it if I hadn't told her. So that makes me feel good when people love what I offer, you know. It does. It makes you feel good.
Yeah, I'm thinking about all of this stuff in the book. This took probably an enormous amount of research. So what was putting this book together like for you?
Well, as I said, I've been living this way for the last 20 years. So a lot of these things I do. It's the way I live. So I had it all in my head. I just had to get it down. And I actually did 9 little webisodes, 3-minute webisodes, where I talk about each thing. And that ended up coming out before the book because it didn't take as long to do a 3-minute talk as it did to write it all up in a great way. So I would say, probably 80 to 90% of the book is things that I've personally done over the years. And then in other cases, I found, websites or people who gave me information. And so I added that into the book. And the thing is, I'm a comedy writer, so it's not just a consumer guide. It's not just do this, do this, do this. I have a lot of funny stories throughout the book because it's how I did it and how you can do it. And there's, like I said, a lot of funny stories, such as when I was auctioned off as a bachelorette or when I met that guy on the plane, or a lot of other funny stories, but there's also tons of information.
So I guess I would skip the question on, what kind of a man are you? Something like that. But I will ask, what made you want to become a writer? Because you've written for all these different high profile people. You have your books out and everything. So what inspired you to become a writer and to get into the entertainment business?
Well, as I said, I was a biology major, and I got a couple degrees in biology and physiology. I think that's because my mother wanted me to meet a doctor. Well, I met them. I just didn't marry them. But I've always been a creative soul. I mean, when I was a kid, I used to sing and dance around the living room, and I used to write on my school paper when I was in elementary school, whatever. But then when I got into high school and college, the emphasis was more on academics. So after I graduated, after I got out of grad school, I sort of just went back to my normal instincts, which was being creative. And it's a passion with me. I love telling stories. I really like writing scripts. I've been, writing scripts since I came out to Los Angeles, and it's something I can't not do. I'm just a creative soul, and I have a lot of stories floating around my head, and it's great fun to do that. And in Hollywood, of course, it takes a lot of time and a lot of people to make a movie. Although more people now are getting into the business by just going out and doing it themselves, which is what I did with my film, How to Beat a Bully. That was a script of mine that was optioned 8 times by Hollywood and never made. And finally, I said, I'm not optioning it anymore. No more options. And so I went out and I raised the money and I made the movie. And I'm very proud of it. I had to take a few zeros off the end. It wasn't millions of dollars to make, but I made it and it's out and it's gotten a lot of attention and we've paid back our investors. So, that's another thing I'd like to impart to your audience is, if you have a passion, don't be afraid to go out and pursue it. Because you only go around once. So if there's something you want to do with your life, I say go and do it. Because, like I said, I was a biology major and I was in a lab and it was not the place for me. And I was making good money at a job at the National Academy of Sciences. But then I realized it wasn't really what I wanted to do. So I switched to show business and I've never looked back. It's a very frustrating business. There are tons of ups and downs, but it's a part of my soul. So it's what I have to do.
You have to do.
I have to do.
I got to do this now. So what are you going to be doing in the future? So this book is out. Do you plan to write more books? I'm sure you do. And I'm sure you're going to be working on more scripts and more films with high-profile individuals.
Yes. Well, I have a new movie that's about a wedding that's supposed to be shot in South Africa at the end of this year. And then my first book, actually, which was a relationship book called Never Kiss a Frog, A Girl's Guide to Creatures from the Dating Swamp. Now, I know all you guys out there are princes, but
creatures from the deep swamp.
Be a frog.
This is like a drain the swamp thing now. Drain the swamp.
But Never Kiss a Frog, I'm now pitching it as both a TV series and a movie. And I have, a couple of other books that are supposed to be coming out this year or next year. So I'm always working on a lot of different projects at once. And that's really, I think, typical of creative people. It's usually not one thing that you're doing. You're usually doing a ton of different things and you never know what's going to pop first. And that's the other thing that I say. It's always good to be open and let things into your life because they can enrich your life. You don't know what's coming next. You don't know what's around the corner, but be open to the possibilities. And that certainly has enhanced my life.
Absolutely. So now we've spoken a lot about this. This sounds like a really good book. So what are ways that we can find this book? So any websites you got going on, and how about other works of yours? How can we find out more about you, your work, and the book, and saving money, and frogs, and everything?
Well, How to Live Like a Millionaire When You're a Million Short can be found. It's on Amazon. It's in paperback or in Kindle version. And you can just go to howtolivelikeamillionaire.com. And at howtolivelikeamillionaire.com, that'll give you links to the Amazon site and also give you a little more information about me. And people can also find me on Facebook. There's a How to Live Like a Millionaire page on Facebook. And then if you look up my book, Never Kiss a Frog, A Girl's Guide to Creatures from the Dating Swamp, you'll find the book there too. I have a website, neverkissafrog.com, where I also have 9 little webisodes of Never Kiss a Frog with some, I introduce them all, and then I have 20-something acting out some of the roles, so that's fun. And I also have a How to Live Like a Millionaire, 9 episodes of that is online as well. So I was also, when I did Never Kiss a Frog, by the way, I was on about 350 radio shows, and I was also the dating, flirting, and kissing coach for Extreme Makeover.
Dating,
so that was a lot of fun.
And kissing a kissing coach.
I was a kissing coach and a dating coach. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, I got the dating coach. I guess if you're going to be a dating coach, you should be a flirtation and a kissing coach. So
yeah, so that was kind of fun. And then I also give. I'm a speaker, so if anybody out there, needs a speaker for your organization or group, right now I'm doing a lot of financial organizations because they love hearing. Even when people are millionaires, they still like to save money.
Well, that's how you get a millionaire. You don't spend everything you get, right? So
exactly. So I do a lot of talks and speaking to groups about the book and about how to live like a millionaire when you're a million short. And I, as a creative person, I do a lot of different things. I have a number of different projects in development. That's what we say in the biz. In development.
The biz.
And yeah, that's what we say in the biz, and then I was, like I say, a relationship coach because after I wrote the book, everybody was calling me for advice. So calling me for advice and giving me frogs,
And giving you frogs and leaping to the opportunity of working with you. Ha ha ha.
Right.
All right. Well,
another thing, here's something that's going into my next edition. It's not in this one, but there's for those of you who are foodies and who love to eat, there's opportunities with a company called Perfectly Frank or Barfly, and they actually will not only give you free meals or free drinks at clubs and stuff, but they'll pay you afterwards to write them up. It's sort of like mystery shopping, but it's for fine restaurants. So people can check that out, and they give you money to go to these restaurants and pretend you're a regular customer, and then you write down your thoughts about it. The other thing is, these days there's so many ways to either make money or get things that you love. I know a guy who loved watches, and so he started a blog about watches. And then all the companies would send him watches of all different kinds, whether they were low price or high price. I knew another guy who loved cars, so he started writing about cars. Well, they didn't necessarily give him one forever, but every 2 weeks he would get a new car to drive. So if you have a passion, you can turn it into not only getting things free, but to getting paid to do what your passion is. And because of the internet, a lot of people are starting their own blogs or vlogs on YouTube and ending up making money out of their passion.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Go for your passion. You just never know. When you go for your passion and you really get aligned with it, everything will start synchronizing and you'll be shockticated on what can happen.
I like that. Shockticated. I'm going to use that, Dennis.
Okay.
I like that a lot.
They'll be shockticated about what can happen. Well, this has been absolutely terrific, and I want everyone to buy this book and save money, and then, you'll be able to pay for other things with the money you save. And I know someone like this. I have a personal friend like this. She's really wild on the coupons and the discounts and things like that. So, she wants everyone to go ask her to buy something for them because, she buys it, you buy it through her, she gets money back, so there's many ways to make a few cents.
Oh yeah, like Groupon. If you send a friend, your Groupon code, then you can make, you'll get money and stuff. But I will say, I'm very thrilled about this because I have a friend actually. She's bought 12 books. She gives somebody a book every time for their birthday because, again, it's something that people can use over and over and over and end up enriching their life and saving money for forever. So I'm pretty proud of it, and I'm thrilled to be able to share it with you and your listeners.
Oh yeah, and I got to go on that site of unclaimed money. I mean, that $20 was a while ago, and believe me, that money's been spent. So I got to see. I hope there's $12,000 waiting for me in the ether somewhere, but you never know. Maybe I'll get 22 cents like you did.
And check out your parents' names or your grandparents' names too.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And they're no longer here. So maybe there's money hanging out there for them, which will end up, coming to the next of kin. So thank you very much for coming on, spending your time. I know that, you're just after work or whatever, and you're spending your time here with us, and I appreciate it.
Well, it's been fun. I hope it's been helpful to your listeners, and I'd love, hearing from them and knowing that they enjoyed the book and got some good tips from it.
Who doesn't enjoy saving money and still getting all the goods? Yeah.
Yes, I agree. And Dennis, I expect to hear from you what you found out.
Oh, what I found out? Yeah, I just looked up my mama and I just got 10 grand. That would be something else.
Yeah, that would be good. Right.
Absolutely. Actually, I know where that $20 came from when my friend found it. I actually know where that came from. It was from an account. Mm-hmm. I think it was from an account that I forgot or something like that, which I guess that's how it happens.
Right. Well, it happens in all different ways, but that's one way for sure. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. All right. Great stuff. And thanks for coming on the show.
Well, thank you, Dennis. It was fun to talk to you, and enjoy New York and enjoy saving money and having fun.
If you're a man who wants to tell their personal story of overcoming low self-esteem, lack of self-confidence to achieve your goals, or if you specialize in any area of men's personal development or otherwise can help men out with your expertise, you might want to be a guest on this show. So go to the website to fill out the application, coreconfidencelife.com/guest. That's coreconfidencelife.com/guest. Also, if you are listening to us on Apple Podcasts, leave us a review. Give us some stars. Let us know what you think here on Core Confidence Life as we move into a new season with some new things going on. But until then, make sure you save all of your money because you now, as an entrepreneur, could afford to take your hubby or your baby to a nice, hot, steamy hotel for a little bit of money.